On June 12, the U.S. government issued an emergency export control directive that disabled Anthropic's Fable 5 model worldwide. This order forced an immediate suspension, stopping workflows for engineering teams across the globe. This disruption introduced a new variable into enterprise procurement: sovereign access risk. The event proved that commercially deployed AI models can vanish without warning when a government intervenes, leaving foreign nationals and international teams with no effective recourse. Standard data processing addenda and force majeure clauses provide no protection against this specific type of regulatory suspension. For technical leads, evaluating a tool is no longer about speed or interface. It requires answering whether the provider will be legally permitted to operate the service tomorrow. During the 3-week suspension, Beijing-based Z.AI launched its ZCode environment and released the open-weights GLM-5.2 model. The hardware specs are as tactical as the timing. GLM-5.2 was trained entirely on Huawei Ascend silicon, removing dependency on American chips. This chart compares pricing for GLM-5.2 against Anthropic's premium tier. The Z.AI model offers an 82% cost reduction. Specifically, Claude Opus costs $5 for input and $25 for output, while GLM-5.2 is just $1.40 for input and $4.40 for output. This creates a difficult choice. You have to weigh significant cost savings and hardware independence against the friction of moving into a foreign software ecosystem. ZCode acts as a wedge in the market, forcing teams to reevaluate their software dependencies and the political risks associated with them. Popular IDEs like Cursor function as polished autocomplete engines that integrate AI primarily through chat sidebars or extensions. ZCode is built around a continuous agent framework designed to execute multi-hour, autonomous tasks across a codebase without constant human intervention. It includes a remote control feature that allows developers to steer and monitor these running agents directly from messaging apps like WeChat or Telegram. Flexibility remains a factor, as ZCode supports multiple models, including Claude, Codex, and Gemini, alongside its native GLM integration. The trade-off is the switching cost. Z.AI's integrated stack is optimized for performance, but it makes decoupling the IDE from the model difficult later on. Adopting ZCode means moving away from the line-by-line workflow of VS Code in favor of autonomous, multi-device project execution. Large-scale cost savings are only relevant if the underlying model can actually meet the rigorous technical requirements of enterprise engineering. This scatterplot charts major models by their benchmark scores on the y-axis against token cost on the x-axis. GLM-5.2 trails Claude Opus 4.8 by only a single percentage point, but scores slightly higher than OpenAI's GPT 5.5, placing it among the highest-performing coding models. ZCode's subscription tiers start at $16.20 for the Lite plan, which is lower than the entry-level pricing for both Cursor and Claude Code. Teams can further reduce costs by using promotional off-peak coefficients, which price token consumption at 67% of the standard rate. By migrating, developers accept a small reduction in benchmark performance compared to the top US model to access a much higher volume of code generation for the same budget. We have to address the risks of routing enterprise code through a Chinese-owned cloud platform. Using Z.AI's Cloud API directly makes your sensitive enterprise data completely subject to Chinese data sovereignty laws and local government regulations. For many regulated Western industries, this cloud dependency is an immediate compliance failure. This flowchart shows the bring your own key alternative. Because GLM 5.2 is open source, you can download the weights to your infrastructure. This isolates the model from external clouds, preventing foreign data exposure while ensuring availability against any future American export controls. The trade-off for this independence is the overhead. Running a localized 744 billion parameter model requires significant internal hardware, massive electrical power, and dedicated DevOps teams. Geopolitical neutrality in AI is possible, but it is paid for in operational costs rather than monthly subscription fees. The Fable 5 episode demonstrated that relying on a single proprietary vendor creates a single point of failure that no standard SLA can fix. Engineering teams now need to build an internal orchestration proxy layer for their AI requests. This layer must be able to route traffic dynamically and trigger a fallback model the moment a primary service becomes unavailable. In this environment, your security is defined by how quickly your team can switch between different models and providers. Here are the recommended migration paths. Bootstrap startups should use ZCode primarily for its low pricing. Mainstream enterprises can keep Cursor as their primary IDE, but must integrate GLM 5.2 as an API fallback. Regulated industries must avoid the cloud, self-hosting GLM 5.2 locally. The goal is to build engineering systems where your fallback model is fully operational at the exact moment your primary tool is disabled. Maintaining model diversity and data sovereignty is the only way to ensure your development pipeline remains resilient in this new trade environment.